let's go, guys. Let's go. Yes, you are impatient. We're talking about the isolated pawn, how to attack on the king side, and the typical maneuvering and storming pieces on the king side. Let's now go, and now I'll be more focused on chess. We're analyzing the games between two older GMs. This game was played almost like 50 years ago, but that's not that important. Important is like setup of white and black pieces and how is white going to attack. This opening is definitely not popular nowadays. Even if somebody goes for this, it's not something I'm suggesting you to do so. And uh, basically, I'm not suggesting you to play like this with either white or black piece. Doesn't matter. We're not talking about openings. This is the first part of the lesson where we talk about the middle games. In the second part of the lesson, I'm actually going to come up with some, like interesting opening variations, and I hope you're gonna like it because uh, I'm not going to be modest. I'm considered to be one of the opening experts. So basically, we're gonna go for that afterwards in the second part of the lesson. After bishop e7, knight c3, castles, bishop d3, d5, with some really weird order of moves, we got some sort of mix between Queen's Gambit Orthodox, between Haraj defense, between Nimzo Indian, even though the bishop is not on b4. This is a weird position, but basically after castles, d takes c4, bishop takes c4, knight bd7. For the first time in our streaming and actually lesson, we're gonna stop now, and I'm gonna ask you a little bit more about this position. Nimzo, I'm thinking about coming to Serbia and playing the Serbian Open Chess Championship, Maya. I guess you're now expecting of me what am I going to say. I'm going to be an official commentator of the European Club Cup there. So basically, as an official commentator, I'm going to be there and we'll be able to meet each other. From another point of view, you're going to have there Eric Hansen, who's going to play the Serbian Open. And you're going to have like a couple of other guys. And guys, we can go every single night to party. But before that, just to be serious and play chess. So if you want to do so, please actually feel free to comment. You're not going to regret your decision. Also, place and the city where we're going to play is very, very nice. It's Novi Sad. Once again, I'm coming back. So let's carry on with this position. This is the first time and the very first moment where I'd like to hear your thoughts about this position. So it's white to move. Guys, how does a professional chess player think, and how does the average thinking process work for every chess player? What do I actually mean? I mean, when a professional chess player comes to a position like this, he's usually thinking about the candidate moves. He's not coming up with only one candidate. Usually they're coming up with two or three, sometimes even more candidates. Then you're just trying to find the background behind every single move, trying to visualize that at the board, and finally you're just trying to come up with a first choice in these situations and positions. So basically here, come up with three candidates. So every single one of you, just look at the position and give me three candidates for white. For example, dark AC chess said b3 and bishop b2 would be my choice. There is only one candidate. Actually, b3 is one candidate. You gotta come up with three candidates. preferably come up with like 3 candidates and follow up with some plans afterwards. So let's go. Pizza says 95. Okay. Pepelo says d5, e4, 95. Justin, queen e2, a3, rook e1. Batman is a cool guy, rook e1, e4, b3. Ledbridge, queen c2, queen e1, rook e1. Menard Monkey, queen e1, rook e2, and d takes c5. Okay, quite a good things, and I'm pretty satisfied with most of your candidates. Yeah, I'm seeing like all those candidates. Interesting. Most of you, okay, you can, okay, thank you, GBAT, thank you, BI44, EGE, Nims over Rookie 1, Queen E2, Queen C2. Okay, you can stop coming up with candidates now. I see what majority of you think and what would majority of you play here. Basically, we're dealing here with a position that is not committed yet. Basically, it means that white is still not playing with an isolated pawn. Actually, the position itself is not committed yet, which means it has to be defined in like next couple of moves, which means white is either going to play and to end up playing this position with isolated pawn, or he's going to play without isolated pawn reacting in the center. What do I mean? I mean to say, if black takes on d4, we should always be kept recapturing by e3 pawn and taking on d4, creating an isolated pawn on d4, but opening the bishop on c1. At the moment, this bishop on c1 is quite a bad piece. You gotta keep that in mind. That is one thing. Second thing, at the moment, you haven't developed not just the dark square bishop, but basically, what are you going to do with your heavy piece? With the queen on d1, with the rooks that are kind of like inactive at the moment, standing on f1 and a1. If I was white, it's actually not about if I was white. It's actually about like coming up with good ideas here. Whoever suggested in this position queen e2, he didn't make a mistake. Why? Queen definitely doesn't belong to d1. Queen has to go on e2. When queen moves to e2, queen is actually freeing the d1 square for the rook coming from f1 to d1. Why do we want that? We want rook to have on d1 to support the d4 pawn, to defend that pawn at some point, or just to support some d5 ideas. Also, when the queen comes on e2, we're just connecting the rooks on the back rank. And finally, when the queen comes on e2, it is actually going to support the pawn on e3 at some point to be able to be pushed on e4. So whoever suggested queen e2, he didn't make a mistake. Actually, he made a very good move. Second thing. Apart from playing that most logical move, queen e2, following up with a rook d1, if the rook comes to d1, and if the black doesn't define himself with taking on d4 and creating the isolated pawn, then we're gonna be the ones who's gonna take on c5 and having the queen on e2 supporting the e4 and e5 pawn pushing. Eventually, we would like to push that pawn up to e5, kicking the knight away from f6, and being able to simply storm our minor pieces onto the king's side. So let's carry on. I'm not going to take like so much time in positions like this, but here I believe in order to understand this position better, I just had to explain you really detailedly this Queen E2 idea. So let's get started. By the way, just want to tell you one more thing. Some of you said H3. Guys, do not play move like H3 if you haven't completed development of your piece. Usually in lessons, when I'm doing lessons with my students, I say CAD role centralization, activity, and development. CAD rule is one of the most important things for every chess player, starting from the beginner chess to very professional chess players. Basically, you all actually every single move of yours out of the opening has to fulfill these three rules. Centralization, so you definitely have to fight for the center. Activity, you definitely have to put your pieces in an active squares and constantly keep fighting for some sort of initiative and playing active. And finally, development. How the hell any of you could suggest a move like h3 if you haven't developed the dark square bishop, the queen on d1, if you haven't connected your rooks on the back rank? So guys, if you want to play these positions, this kind of positions, if you want to play your openings good, even though you don't know anything about openings, keep in mind this centralization, activity, and development rule, and you won't have problems finding a good move. If your move will fulfill like every single condition of these ones, it's gonna be good. This is the thing, and let's go now. So basically, after queen e2, what are we doing? We're freeing the d1 for the rook, and we're supporting the idea to take on c5, and afterwards pushing the pawn up to e5, playing the e4 and e5, opening indirectly the bishop on c1, and basically being able to develop our last minor undeveloped piece. It's the bishop on c1. After queen e2, this guy played a6. Why does he play a6? By the way, some of you said d5. Those who said d5, d5 is bad because of knight b6. Some of you said e4. e4 wouldn't be a bad move, but it's simply, in this kind of position, it's not like in the spirit of this opening. I mean, it could be played definitely, but it's not like the best idea. Some of you said a3. a3 is definitely in spirit of this opening, and it actually fits this opening really well, but in terms of the CAD rule that I mentioned previously, centralization, activity, and development, a3 looks very weird. Mannerd Monkey said a6 is there to play b5 and gain tempo on c4 bishop playing the b5. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly the point of the a6. So basically, you have now two kinds of reactions. Playing the a3, so when he plays b5, hiding your bishop and making shelter on a2, or you can just play like a4, stopping the b5 itself. If I was white, I would definitely play the a4. There is one more thing, since this is positioned with an isolated queen pawn, or it's going to be a position with isolated queen pawn. I just like to tell you one more thing. Try to notice where the knight from b8 ended up. It ended up on d7. The knight on d7 is not the best piece because it's kind of limited. On b6 does nothing, cannot go to c5, cannot go to e5. When we played a4, now this knight on d7 cannot taking advantage of the possibly weak square b4. Sometimes when we play with isolated pawns, black just wants to jump with that knight from c6 to b4, eventually maneuvering that knight and sticking it to d5. Why? Because there are like two general things when one playing against the isolated pawn. About what kind of general things I'm talking about? it's the blockade, so isolated pawn should be blocked. And another thing, whoever plays against the isolated pawn, he should be trading off pieces. Basically, these are two rules. Even if you don't know anything, these are two rules you gotta follow when you play against isolated pawn. So block it and keep trading off pieces. It's good for you because as more pieces as you exchange, the weaker isolated pawn is gonna be because it's gonna be without like proper defense and proper defenders. So that's the thing. And now we just have to go with uh, yes. Ledbury Chess came up with a good point. If the knight was on c6, in the position a3 would be preferred to a4, definitely, because they wouldn't be able to use that typical maneuver against the isolated pawn, knight c6, b4, d5. Learn this trick. It's a very nice positional idea. Even in our streams, when we play all those blitz games, you can see things like this. Anyways, Mannered Monkey says, if a6, a3, does black have b5 and c4 to block out the bishop? Very good question. Very good question. I'll have to answer that question. And guys, while I'm explaining to you, please try to come up more with like, try to come up more with like questions, because I'm very much like your questions. They help me to understand your level, to understand your like needs, and basically it's gonna help me to put me back on the track. What do I actually have to explain you sometimes? Because sometimes maybe I'm going to explain you for like higher levels, or maybe sometimes I'm going to explain you like you're complete beginners. So just put me right on the back, put me back on the right track with your questions, and thank you for participating actively in these lessons. Basically, some Mannered Monkey said, what if b5? Mannered Monkey said, what if b5? So he actually asked, if we played a3, b5, bishop can go back to d3 or it can go to a2. As long as you want to push the d5, play rook d1, supporting the idea like this, you should be keeping your bishop on a2. And Mannered Monkey said, but wait a sec. Do we close the bishop if we play the c4? If you ever play similar type of situations, I mean, if you actually find yourself in similar type of situations or play similar type of positions, you should never do things like this. You should never do it ever things like this. Why? Because black is now committing himself. He's closing the queen side. Maybe at the moment he blocked out this bishop on a2. But look what am I going to do? I'm going to play. First of all, you block the queen side. You actually don't have any more tension on the white center. And basically, I have all the time of this world to come up with the attack on the king side now. Now I've got an upper hand because you don't have tension in the center. You don't have tension on the d4. Now I have the upper hands to do whatever I like. So basically, if I was white, I would immediately play e4. I would immediately play e4. And when you play bishop b7, I would immediately, for example, just giving you example. Don't have to be that it's the best move. I'm just showing you what are you supposed to do. Maybe I would play like bishop g5. Then I'd put my rook on d1. This rook would come on e1. And by the way, Mannered Monkey said, isn't the light square bishop on a2 now blocked out? Yes, it is, but temporarily. When I develop all my pieces and put them simply on ideal squares, I'll be able to put my bishop back on b1. And when it comes to b1, but of course, I'm insisting on the fact that I first develop my rook from a1 to d1, and then I complete my development and playing the move bishop b1. Then I would be able to push e5, and my bishop on b1 would do a great attacking things on the king side. Basically, You should never close, uh, hello, Dr. Graybill. You should never close the center this way. Okay, now we just have to make a break. I see that the number of people in this video and in this stream is rising, which I like very much. At the moment, when we first started, there were like only 15 of you. Now I see more than 90 people, which is good. I'm expecting even more. And basically, for those who just connected now, I'm gonna tell you, once in a week, I'll start doing things like this. I'll start doing things like this. The first part of the lessons, I'm gonna do some middle game topics, and the second part of the lessons, I'm gonna explain you and teach you the openings you want. How are you going to do that? Send me an email, send me your preparations, and actually your preferences, sorry, and basically ask me, Maya, I'd like to do a topic about how to play against the isolated pawn, and please teach me the Coley opening. Another guy says, teach me the Scotch opening, and give me topic, how should I play, for example, with the double pawns. Basically, it's all about you, and I'm here because of you guys. So, okay, so let's go now. So let's get started. Okay, Skiza, thank you for being supportive. Middle game first. Get a grip with me is awesome, but this idea, Dear Lamps, what is my address? What do you want to send me? You want to send me some? At the moment, I only need Viagra, man. So I'm from Niš. It's the south of Serbia. Okay. Chess team gonna ask how to play queen down comes up a lot in my games. Okay, yeah, guys. Anyways, from now on, I'm gonna come up with things like this. Yes, so this wouldn't be a good idea. Now we're going back to the A4 line where we basically stop the B5 idea by black. After like A4 in the game was C takes D4. I'd like to stop here once again. This is a very important moment. Only Viagra, yeah. So this is a very important moment, and I'd like to hear your opinion right now. Guys, question is, should you uh, should you take by e3 pawn on d4, or should you take by knight on d4? Choco Woko wants to see my wife. Man, you're gonna get horny, so I don't want to show you my wife. Eric is asking, anyone receive their chessbrah clothes? So guys, you know that we're now having chessbrah clothing, so let us know if you got it, and let us know if you like it. Okay, so question is, should you take here by pawn or by knight? Okay. Okay. This is impressive. This is impressive. Frozen Edge, Leadbridge Chess, Maynard Monkey, Dark AC Chess, People Batman is a cool guy, Fake DMC, BFT Joe, Cast Team, Cat Get the Cat. Yeah, perfect. All of you just agreed that you should be taking by pawn. Absolutely true. Because taking by knight would leave your bishop on c1 undeveloped. But guys, keep in mind, taking by pawn is like very, very demanding and demanding thing. Why? Because you'll have to be able to come up with like tons of good and very typical moves when you play with isolated. Here we're just playing with the isolated pawn. And now we just have hello Fanslayer, and we just have to check. um we just have to check how is white going to attack with a isolated queen pawn. I'm going to use the shortcut for it, IQP, isolated queen pawn. Okay, so let's go now. IQP, and how is white supposed to play after e takes d4? So after like e takes d4, the guy played knight b6. This is a very important moment in this game and in such situations. And I'd like to see your opinion about this position, and I'd like to see what do you think. How is white supposed to continue now? First of all, should you give up the bishop? I mean, 99.9% of you would agree that we should never give up the bishop pair, because bishop pair in an open position is a monster weapon. And another question is, when you want to move your bishop to save it, would you do that, moving it to b3 and keeping it diagonally to g8, or would you move your bishop to d3? Let me hear your opinion now. This is a good question. Eric is talking about some. That guy is simply not serious. But okay, I'm going to take him to the music in Serbia, to partying in Serbia, to drinking. He's gonna like this country a lot. He's going to actually, I'm pretty sure he's not gonna go back on 14th of November because he's gonna like this country so much, especially the nightlife in here. Okay, guys, would you keep the bishop on a to g8 diagonal, or would you move it back to d3, controlling the b1 and h7 diagonal? And now, more importantly, why would you move your bishop back to b3, and why would you move your bishop back to d3? Give me a background for doing and making such choice. So basically, we all agreed that we should not be giving up the bishop pair in open games. And Peter94 said d3 is too early because the isolated d pawn can be pressured. In a way, it's an okay statement, but basically, the bishop online wiki came up with good point. Bishop b3 in order to keep pressure on the f7 pawn. That's exactly.
Well, hello,
beautiful. That's exactly the point. Yeah, I'd definitely have to thank to Dark AC Chess for subscribing, and yeah, this is nice. Although I don't see any donations, so guys, you don't like me. You don't like what I'm doing for you. I have a feeling that this is not gonna work out this way. I guess you like more when I'm blitzing, playing bullet, and losing against some idiots. Okay. So yes, bishop goes back. Bishop goes back to b3. Online.
Hello, beautiful.
Pipolo is now chessbrah. Hello, master, and welcome in the world of chessbrah streams. And I hope you're gonna be satisfied with what we're doing for all of you guys. Finally, the bishop belongs to b3. The bishop belongs to b3. Why? Because it keeps pressuring the e6 and f7 pawns. And now you're probably wondering, what the hell am I talking about if they just simply played the knight bd5? how are we going to be able to simply pressure these two e6 and the f7 pawns? Anyways, this is like an important moment to see what is black gonna do. Just like I told you, if you remember, what are the two most important things playing against isolated pawn? Give me two roles. Let me just see if you're listening to me or you're just keep staring at my beautiful face, looking like what I'm doing in this lesson. So please, give me two basic roles. How are you supposed to play against the IQP isolated queen pawn? What are you supposed to do? The only thing that I can see, join, 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 but nobody says anything. Um, Blockade and traces. People said yes. Okay. Blockade and trades. Perfect. 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 And that's exactly what you're supposed to do. That's exactly what you're supposed to do. So basically, you're supposed to block the isolated pawn. Once again, I'm gonna call it IQP, and to keep trading off pieces. Perfect. So,
Well, hello, beautiful.
I can see another subscriber, online wiki. He just became and subscribed for a chessbrah channel. Thank you, master. By the way, you came up with the good idea behind the bishop b3. Anyways, bishop belongs to b3 in such positions, keeping some sort of pressure against the e6 and f7 pawns. And after like bishop e3, they play the bishop d7. What for? For two reasons. Depending how a good defender or positional player you are. Usually those who understand this kind of positions, they should be going with the bishop c6. They should be going with the bishop c6. And those who are just playing very defensive, very passive, they will go with very, very coward decision, and they would just place this bishop on e8, defending potential weakness of an f7, and basically minimizing the attacking and aggressive potential of the bishop on b3. By the way, guys, I can see that, believe it or not, we broke the number 100 very easily. I'm expecting much more of you to come into this kind of streaming lessons, and I hope you're gonna like what I'm doing for you. Just once again, for those who are just in right now, at least once in a week, we're gonna have like streaming lessons by myself. I am, as you know, like professional chess coach, and basically in these lessons, we're going to do like two kinds of things, because we're gonna divide these lessons in two parts. First part will always belong to middle games and topics you choose, and second part of the lessons will belong to openings, and once again openings that you choose. Batman is a cool guy. Ask, is it bad to play the passive bishop e8 in this position, or does black have to play actively against the IQP?
Yeah, money.
Definitely,
Cool.
definitely.
Keep going, guys. You're awesome.
Piplo came up with the nation. Thank you so much. I appreciate that very much. And basically, guys, I see you do like what I'm doing for you, and you really like this new idea. It's working out way better. From another point of view, I'm not as close as good in Blitz and Bullet like Eric Hansen and Hamilton, and even Robin van Kempen. So basically, this is my part of chess, and I can give you the most here. Okay, thank you so much, GM Piblo, for this. Let's carry on. So let's carry on the with the game. After bishop to d7, knight e5. Of course, you're forcing your opponent to commit himself. But believe it or not, the idea behind knight e5 is not to take on d7, even though you would in that case win the bishop there. No, and eventually, as more pieces as they manage to trade off, the weaker d4 pawn is going to be. Even though white is going to end up having the bishop pair, knight d7 wouldn't bring anything that special to white.
Well, hello, beautiful.
Micron is now a chessbrah. Welcome into the world of chessbrahs, man. So basically, I can see that lots of you are subscribing. I can see that lots of you actually like this new idea. This is good. This is good, and I'm very very happy with what we're doing at the moment. Just like I told you, more than 100 people in these kind of streaming lessons, which means you like the idea. Okay. Yeah, much appreciated these lessons, even though as a Dutch it's way past my bedtime. Okay, we're not going to, I'm going to rush up a little bit, just showing to you what are we supposed to do. You know, I'm also living in Europe and it's also for me 1:20 a.m. in the morning. Okay, online wiki, he says, love this new initiative, awesome. Ledbury Chess said, welcome to the world of chessbrahs. Yeah. Chess team, my except for sticking a knight on d5 and looking for trades. What should black be planning in this particular position? Black should constantly keep playing the moves where he's going to somehow trade off pieces and do something around the blockade. Blocking square is the d5. So black should be going with rook c8, bishop c6, knight bd5. Those are classical ideas by black in such positions. White, on the other hand, should be going to store all his pieces onto the king side and go with the attack there. That's the way to go. And that's my rating is 2440. So I'm an IM and my rating is 2440. So basically, after like knight to e5, no, we didn't play this move to play and to take on d7. We actually played this move to be able to use the rook lifting afterwards, believe it or not. A couple of my students told me that they actually counted that in 73% of my games with the white pieces in the d4 openings, I'm coming up with this rook lifting idea. So this is interesting. Anyways, after like 95, they have two options: bishop c6 and bishop e8. Guys, I once again have to stop here and to ask you, what do you think? Which move is better? Bishop c6, pretty crazy, I know, because he's giving up the bishop pair. He's allowing white to break the pawn structure and to create like two isolated pawns on a6 and c6. And basically, this is the first thing. So basically, bishop c6 or bishop e8, passively defending the pawn on f7 and absolutely not giving a possibility to white to attack here. Let's go, guys. Bishop c6 or bishop e8. While you're thinking of this, and please come back to me with your suggestions in a chat room. I'm just going to take something to drink. Oh my God, I'm thirsty. Okay, I'm back. I'm back, and let's carry on with our streaming lessons. So the question was bishop c6 or bishop e8. Let me see your answers. C6 gives back to iso pawns. Dr. Graybill, no, he's talking about something else. Everybody are talking about something. Okay. Typico says bishop c6. Leora is asking, is knight f7 an option here? Not yet. Gives nothing. Batman is a cool bishop e8 to protect the king side. Blatz of Glory, do chessbrahs give private chess lessons? Yes, all of us, like complete chessbrah theme, we do give like chess lessons, and you can come back to us. Anyways, Peter 94, bishop c6, because I think that it wouldn't be good for white to give up his monster d5 knight, and it would be block the isolated pawn. I like it very much. Frozen Edge was asking if the bishop c8 was an option or it's pointless. It's pointless. I mean, why did you play bishop c8 and put it on d7 and then you'd put it back there? Online wiki says bishop c6 pressuring g2 and can be traded off with knight on e5. Perfect. Perfect. And Batman is a cool guy. Was asking Maya, can you say why we're considering moving the bishop in the first place? Why not just rook c8 or rook to e8? I'm not saying that rook c8 or rook e8 first is not that bad. But let me just show you, for example, you said rook c8 is absolutely okay move. It's absolutely cool. I like it. It's normal. Then I would be playing like rook to d1, and what is slightly better? You mentioned rook e8. Rook e8 is kind of weakening because you are leaving the protection of the f7 pawn. Let me just prove it to you. I put my rook on d1, being supportive for the d4 pawn and being able to push this pawn to d5 afterwards. 5-card draw says, from which opening is this? This kind of position can arise from, let me see, following openings. 10 of attack against the Caracan. Queen's Gambit Orthodox. Queen's Gambit Accepted. Nimzo Rubinstein variation. And couple other, one of the variations in the Tarrasch defense, and couple other different openings. Anyways, let me just show you something now. You mentioned a rook to e8. If I play now rook d1, and you anyways, now since your bishop cannot go anymore on e8, you play bishop c6. Now I'm coming up with this typical sacrifice. This is the point of having the knight on e5 and taking advantage of the weak f7 pawn. So when the king takes, I take by queen. If the king goes here, checkmate. If the king goes here, I'm gonna come up with this check. And when the guy comes here, boom, checkmate. This is the way to attack this king. This is the way to take advantage of a monster knight on e5. And I believe that online wiki and a couple of you guys mentioned that at some point you shouldn't be moving this bishop to, actually you should move this bishop to c6 because it would just exchange the knight for the bishop. Perfect. Rook c8 would be cool. Rook e8 would be suspicious. Bishop e8 would be too passive. Because this rook is locked until the rest of the game. And this is what you're not supposed to do unless you're forced to do so in your game. But basically in this specific situation, it's a bad and it's a passive move. By the way, I hope you like what I like to see, that the number of people is constantly increasing. I like it, and I'm actually pretty satisfied for the first time having like more than hundreds of euros. This is good. And basically, I'm expecting much more of you. By the way, guys, keep in mind, if you just donate to this pure soul $1, I'm going to be a rich man. I'm joking, of course. Anyways, after like 95, uh, some of you mentioned knight c6. There was a famous game. There was a famous game between Karpov and Korchnoi, played in their semifinals candidates match, where they played against each other, and in that game, I believe that Karpov was the guy. Actually, in that match, Karpov was the guy who came up with this plan. Karpov was the guy who came up with this plan, giving up the bishop pair, giving up the bishop like this, breaking the pawns like this, and after this happens, he
I can't believe you're doing this for free.
Dark AC Chess, thank you so much for this donation. This was really nice, and I can see that, guys, you really like what I'm doing for you right now. I'm more than happy, and basically, if this turns out to be so good, we're gonna continue cooperating like this. Dark Casey chats, once again, thank you so much for this, and not just to you. I'm asking also to Micron for subscribing, Wiki Online Chess as well, and all to all of you guys. Chess team gave his part. Yeah, that $1. We needed that one to Piplo as well. And once again, guys, thank you so much for this. Anyways, after let's carry on, and please fully participate in these lessons. Ever since that match between Karpov and Korchnoi, they explained that these two pawns, e6 and d6, are all, even though these are like broken pawns. E6 is not a broken pawn, but basically these are two broken pawns. But basically, Karpov, after that match, explained that these two pawns are way better than this pawn. This is very important to know. And keep in mind one thing. During this lesson, I asked you, what are the two main rules against the isolated queen pawn, and you came up with blockade and keep trading off pieces. Perfect. When he played bishop c6, maybe he broke the pawn structure, but he did it in a good way. First of all, he secured the control of the d5, and secondly, he actually traded one more minor pieces off. Okay, Frozen Edge said something very nice, and I would like to read this one. To be honest, I think that the nations and subscriptions are distracting him. No, please distract me a little bit more. Okay. Actually, you're just boosting my confidence. You're just giving me energy. I'm stronger than ever. Okay. So let's carry on. After bishop c6, we're not supposed to take. We're not supposed to take. Don't forget. And from now on, you can always keep in mind, these two pawns are better than this isolated pawn. And especially considering the fact that the knight is going to come here and keep controlling the d5. But more importantly than anything, they just have a b file open, and everything thanks to the b file open and weak b4 square afterwards. Is this okay? I hope that you understand this one really well. So basically, e6 and c6 against the d4 pawn, strong control of the d5, one more minor piece being traded off, and possibility to put the rook on the b file and to take advantage of the b file, especially weak where b4, because white has committed himself with the a4 and the b4 will permanently be weak. Anyways, let's carry on. And let me actually finish this game because this is like very, very important thing. After like somebody else came up with the donation, people, thank you so much for your donation. Guys, you definitely like these lessons, and I can keep the promise. I'm gonna do this for you from now on a regular basis. This is good, and basically lots of people, lots of donations, lots of interest. Feel free to send me an email with the topic of the lesson for the next time. Don't forget, we're gonna divide them in two ways. First part, always middle games. So give me a topics, suggest them to me, ask something, do whatever you like, and openings. You're gonna be especially satisfied with an openings, and even I'm even having a good thing for you. I can sometimes give you some files so you can study on your own, and that's gonna be quite an interesting thing. Dark AC Chess and people, thank you so much for being so generous. Let's carry on now. After like, instead of bishop c6, of course we shouldn't take, but we should play like rook to d1, defending the pawn, supporting, and just keep fighting against this and keeping our knight on e5, being so strong, just like this bishop on c6 and controlling the d5. Although this guy played the bishop e8, please, once again, I'm pointing this out, and I'm not going to repeat it anymore. This rook on f8 is such a bad piece. Guys, please stay here for like a couple more minutes because we just have to slowly but surely finish this game off, and then I'm gonna show you like some more interesting opening tricks. Anyways, after like bishop to e8, now white played rook to d1, black played knight bd5, white played rook to d3, and please, this is such an important idea. It's something that you from now on have to remember. It's of like extreme importance, and not just importance, but also it's for most of you, I basically understand that this is, and I basically know that this is like a revolutionary idea. You're just moving your rook to the third rank. What are you going to do with this rook? This rook is going to g3, and it's going to support some kingside attack and the peace storm on the king side. Justin said, so bishop e8 was too passive. How did black blow up? Once again, I'm saying he was supposed to play bishop c6 and to play the Karpov's idea, allowing the knight c6, b takes c6, and getting like position like this. Although he played the bishop e8, which was passive, rook to d1, knight bd5, there, and rook to d3. Such a nice. Oh, sorry, bishop e8, rook d1, knight bd5, rook to d3. Such a nice idea. Rook lifting is one of the most important things in the Queen's Gambit accepted, in many of the Rubinstein lines of the Nimzo, and so many other type of positions. Anyways, Dark AC Chess has so many pieces by Black's king. I never guessed it was the place to attack, but I guess that the f8 rook is the reason. Believe it or not, the reason to attack is somehow his pieces got stuck on the king side, and basically he's kind of like not just passive, but without too much space to maneuver here. Also, we're just getting our pieces on the king side, so look what is happening there. So T7, my FIDE rating is 2440. But in terms of coaching, my rating is 2670, I guess. Or I should be like more modest, 2800. Anyways, like after like rook to d3, after like rook to d3, after like rook to d3, they play rook to c8. They play rook to c8, and after like this move rook to c8, they just keep developing and putting some pressure against the c3 knight. We're playing the rook g3, and for the first time tonight, we're having like a very concrete threat. It's the bishop h6. I like to get back to I'd like to get back to the guy who gave like the biggest donation tonight, Dark AC Chess. He said he would have never guessed that this is the right place to attack and this is the right position to attack and to use the rook lifting and to use the piece storm on the king side. But then he said, but I guess because of the rook on f8. So you were right. In a way, just because the rook is on f8, you're now threatening the bishop h6 to win an exchange. The game on the spot. Hello, Darth Wagger. Anyways, Ledbury Chess, Frozen Edge said 2670 in terms of my coaching rating. I still believe it's around 2800. Anyways, after like, yeah, wow, the e8 bishop takes away the only way the knight can defend g7. But it is usually a bad defender around the, actually, knight is a fantastic defender around the king, but knight on e8 is usually a bad defender in such position. Anyways, black man is a cool guy, said black must only have two candidate moves here, king h8 and g6. Absolutely. After like king h8, of course, now we're completing our development and developing the last piece. The guy plays knight b4. For the first time, black is threatening something, so the queen wants to take the pawn on d4. Of course, what is getting this rook to d1 and completing his development with rook d1. Rook d1, rook c7. Let's go, guys. This is the crucial moment of the game. Actually, all systems are ready for the attack. So let's go now. Let's go now. It's the right moment for all of you to find the final plan for the attack. Okay, look at this idiot, Mushroomite. Who the hell is this guy? So we're expecting this guy to be banned. My name is Maximus Capacus Panicus, commander of the armies of the Twitch, general of the legions, loyal servant. Come on, man, this is crazy. Okay. Yeah, the job of this guy was just to spam there. Anyways, we're looking for the final plan, final, like decisions by white to attack here and to destroy this guy. What would you do here? How would you come up with the attack? Give me candidates for white. This game, was played like 6 or 7 more moves. So basically, we're getting closer to the end of the game. And let's have a look. BFT Joe said rook to h3. I don't hear any other suggestions. Where is now Dark AC Chess, People Low, Frozen Edge, Chess team, come on, guys. Okay. One of you said bishop takes f6. Garden said h4. Okay, you came up with some interesting ideas, but Batman is a cool guy says h4. This is interesting. Wick the man says h4 looks good. Batman is a cool guy says h4 looks good. Dark AC chess h4 looks good. Garden says h4 looks good. Guys, if you play now, h4, don't you think that this way you would actually close the h file and you wouldn't be able to attack afterward? Don't you think that in this case you wouldn't be able to attack along the h file any longer? Do you really want that kind of thing to happen? Please don't. Basically, h4 is usually good if the pawn was standing on g6. But since the pawn wasn't standing on g6 here, we're not gonna go for this. Capablanca came up with 10 bits. Thank you, master. Anyways, after like final tap, hello, welcome. This is a new initiative. Just because most of you like this so much, I'm gonna come up with like weekly lessons where I'm going to divide them in two parts: middle game lessons and opening lessons. You should send me an email, and you should send me your request in my email, and the guys who are just coming up with the best donations, just like Dark AC Chess, they're actually having of course all the rights to choose the lines or the rights to choose the openings, or basically they're just going to have like slight preferences in comparison to others, which is logical, I believe. Roman Chess Master, he likes the stream, he finds it awesome, and basically thank you so much for subscribing. Anyways, let's carry on. Don't play the h4 because then you wouldn't be able to carry on with the attack along the h file. So after like and once again I'm repeating, this pawn on h4 should be played when the pawn is moved to g6. Then you should be coming up with h5, and that's good. By the way, I forgot to explain you the idea behind rook c7 by black. He's just placing this rook to defend the pawn on f7 at some point, to have like good defender in the 7th rank, sometimes even to defend the pawn on b7, because there are some lines where he's gonna go with the knight f to d5, bishop d5, bishop g5, and eventually white is taking on b7. That's the reason for black playing the rook c7 there. Okay, Tipico said bishop f6. Tipico, you should never give up bishop pair or just bishops in these kind of positions if you're having such a strong attack. You should never do that, because bishops are such an important pieces in terms of attacking. Who said else? Mike Lopping said knight f7. Come on, guy. What are you doing? Why are you rushing so much? When you have like all your pieces storm on the king side, now show some patience, and not sometimes, usually your opponents are going to crack because their self-confidence is going down during the games, and humans are just naturally defending worse when they're in hard or stuck situations, just like in this one. Anyways, okay. We're just going with the line here. Rook c7, and the move is rook to h3. I'm going to kill all of you guys who suggested the knight e4, because you are not supposed to trade off pieces when you attack with the isolated pawn. Please don't do that. Thank you for listening to Big Coach. Okay, now we're just moving up, and basically rook to h3. what are we doing? Now you can see that the h4 move would be absolutely pointless. Now you can see that sometimes, at some point, we're just going to put our bishop back to c2, going against the h7 pawn. And now you can also see that in this situation, we just want to finish this guy off with sometimes bishop f6 and queen h5. But I said sometimes. Don't give up the bishop if you don't have to. And don't play the knight e4 if you don't have to. Don't trade off the pieces. Mannered Monkey, I'm not disappointed. I'm just saying, please listen to my explanations and general stuff. This is maybe at the moment you're not even aware of that, but when you start playing some games and when you say, oh my god, I'm playing against the isolated pawn, I should trade off pieces or I should block it, you're going to do something that you never thought of, and you would say, oh my god, it really works. Or maybe you're just going to start using these things in your games and it's going to work out really successfully for you, and you're going to say, wow, this is good. Then you're going to come back to me and you're going to say, like, I'm a 2800 coach. Anyways, after like rook to h3, g6 stops the bishop f6 and queen h5, but opens up new weaknesses in this position. And now queen goes to f3. Very nice move. This queen is exerting the pressure against the knight f6, and this queen is going eventually to the h4 via either g3 to h4 or f4 to h4. This is a very nice idea, and the attack is like very, very strong. Okay, so slowly but surely the pressure is coming. Slowly but surely the pieces are storming on the king side, and this is what I told you. This is what I told you previously. People tend to collapse in difficult, stuck, and positions where they don't have much space for maneuvering. This is what is black doing here. Black is collapsing. So don't be stupid. Don't be stupid. Sorry, I'm not offending you. I'm just saying, I'm just warning you. Don't be stupid and don't rush in, like rushing with the attack, showing any kind of impatience. Just slowly gather your pieces. Actually, I am a real example that you shouldn't play like this. One day I'm gonna show you my game from the first round of the Serbian league. I played against the GM. I was much better speaking in terms of positional chess. I had upper hands in that position, and out of nowhere I sacked the rook. I don't know why, and basically that's the stupidity I'm speaking of you not to do in your games as well. Frozen Edge came up with a good question. This wasn't the bullet. Of course, this wasn't the bullet. This was the game between Polugaevsky and Lutikov. Fantastic game that shows how one is supposed to play with an IQP, isolated queen pawn. After rook g8, Polugaevsky now did knight to e4. But guys, now some of you would say, but Maya, previously you said you want to kill us because we want to play the knight e4. For the first time, we're just doing some very concrete tactical stuff. Question for those who answer here. If the black takes on e4, what is white going to do? Who comes up first with the answer is gonna have like match out of 4 games after this stream with me on actually 4 bullet games. Holy BFT Joe said rook takes h7. I definitely have to say that this guy took the credit of the 4 games after this stream lesson. Sorry, but he came up with the solution first. So if the knight takes on e4, boom. Actually, this was a typical example of deflection. You're deflecting the defender of the h7, and you're coming up with queen h3, queen h6, checkmate. The first one who came up with solution here was BFT Joe. He's gonna have like 4 bullet games against me after this streaming lesson. Knight e4, knight h5. Who comes up with the solution first here? He's gonna have 4 more games, bullet games against me. Match out of 4 in this position. Let's go. Who's gonna come up with the solution first? But guys, please, 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 please don't use the engines. If I ever recognize that any of you is using the engine to come up with the solution first, I'm going to simply tell our administrators to ban you and not to be involved, at least in my type of streaming lessons. Who's gonna tell me what happened in the game? Who comes up first with a solution? He's gonna have like 4 games against me in bullet and chocolate when I see him. Who comes to Novi Sad? I'm gonna buy him 4 beers that night and 1 girl for me, man. Not only for you. Come on. Bishop f6, rook h5, knight f7. Oh my god. Oh my god. Pakistan 92. Pakistan 92 was the first one who came up with the solution. If that guy comes to Novi Sad to play the Serbian Open from 5th of November until 13th, he's gonna get like 4 beers and 4 Red Bulls and 4 Jim Bims will be on me as well. Anyways, solution is the queen f7. Fantastic combination, fantastic tactical thing. The thing is, if he takes knight f7, king d8, knight d8, and he's threatening check, and this guy is just resigning. Or if queen f7, even more beautiful combination is this one, then you take like knight g5, and you can't take on g5 because of queen c7. And if you take on f7, then he's gonna come up with check, this, check, this, 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 and when you calculate the number of the pieces, it would be an exchange up at the end of everything. After queen f7, in the game, this guy played bishop c6, white took on e6, rook g7, played d5, pushing this pawn up to the center and just breaking along the d file, taking on e7, rook e7, doing the queen d6, threatening some rook h5, knight g6, knight f6 ideas, and after like queen e8, coming up with knight f6, removing the defender from the h file, coming up with check, and after like king g8, d6, but this guy played rook g7 and he came up with this move. What was so strong about this d6? You basically opened up this bishop. What is so strong about this? Well, when you move your rook anywhere, then he's just coming up with this check, and it's brilliant checkmate by white. Hope you enjoyed this game very much. Hope Pakistan 92 is a lurker here and first time here, so you're gonna like it, man. And you're gonna get like 4 games against me. Hope you like this one. This is how I'm going to do these streaming lessons with you. This is how I'm going to teach you how to play with or against the isolated pawns. This is how I'm going to teach you the openings. This is how I'm going to teach you the endgames. This is how I'm going to actually study with you every single week, at least once in a week. And basically, I'm gonna do this for you, but what I want from you is these kind of lessons, these kind of streams to be massive, because I'm definitely expecting like lots of people in these streams. Secondly, lots of donations and subscribes. for these poor souls of chessbrah theme. And finally, I'm definitely expecting your cooperation in our streams in two ways. First, send me an email with your requests, and second,
That was Gaddar's
Frozen Edge
dude
donated
forehead.
$10. Thank you so much, Frozen Edge. Thank you all for being so supportive and for liking this idea. I can see that you like this one so much. Batman is a cool guy. Said, where did Black really go wrong? Rook, Bishop E8. That was the crucial mistake in this game. He was supposed to play the Bishop C6. If you listen to me, you would have never asked me this kind of question. So it means you have to be even more careful in these lessons. Okay. So basically, thank you all of you for being so supportive. Thank you all for following this. You seem to like this one so much. Most of the stream, we were like more of like hundreds of people, which is good. I'm expecting much more of you. Actually, spread this around, and people should know that I'm doing these lessons for you, and lots of you should come in the future. Finally, just like I told you, I'm expecting of you like your active cooperation in two ways. Send me an email with requests in terms of topic for middle games and openings you would like me to teach you. And second thing, just just come in like a big number of you just here and constantly keep coming up with some questions and just try to exchange your ideas and to discuss with me about this kind of stuff. That would be all about these